Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News 9, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next hour. Planned summit between Trump and Putin put on hold on Tuesday after Russia rejects ceasefire. Trump says, don't want to have a wasted meeting.
No, I don't want to have a wasted meeting. I don't want to have a waste of time, so I'll see what happens.
U.S. Vice President voices great optimism for Gaza truce on Israel visit. Israel's army confirms the remains of 2 more hostages handed over by Hamas identified. U.S. government shutdown hits 21-day mark with no end in sight. Trump tells Democrats no meeting over shutdown until government reopens. Republicans acknowledge new stopgap funding bill likely needed. And India's Weather Department issues red alert for several southern states, including Kerala and Tamil Nadu. All schools and colleges closed in Puducherry and Karaikal due to heavy rain predictions. On to the details now. A planned summit between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin was put on hold on Tuesday as Moscow's rejection of an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine cast a cloud over attempts at negotiations. A senior White House official said there are no plans for President Trump to meet with President Putin in the immediate future. This comes after Trump announced he would meet Putin in Hungary within 2 weeks or so to bring an end to the conflict in Ukraine. But Putin has been unwilling to consider concessions. Also, Russia reiterated its long-standing terms for a peace deal in a private communique known as a non-paper that it sent to the U.S. last weekend. Well, Trump, who last week spoke over phone to Putin and met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, had hoped for another high-profile session with Putin after their August summit failed to advance negotiations. But the two sides postponed a preparatory meeting between Rubio and Lavrov that had been expected to take place in Budapest on Thursday. And U.S. President Donald Trump said on Tuesday, when asked why his planned summit in Hungary with Russian President Vladimir Putin was put on hold, he said he did not want to have a wasted meeting.
No, I don't want to have a wasted meeting. I don't want to have a waste of time, so I'll see what happens. But we did all of these great deals, great peace deals. They're all peace deals, agreements, solid agreements, every one of them. But this one, and I said, go to the line of battle, on the battlefield lines, and you pull back and you go home, and everybody takes some time off because you got 2 countries that are killing each other. You got 2 countries that are losing 5,000 to 7,000 soldiers a week. So we'll see what happens. We haven't made a determination.
Well, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said he is in contact with his U.S. counterpart Marco Rubio to discuss the possibility of a new Trump-Putin summit, but doses hope for a swift preparatory meeting to finalize the talks.
We discussed with Marco Rubio the current situation as it stands today and how we can prepare a version of the next meeting agreed upon by the presidents of Russia and the United States. We agreed to continue these phone contacts to better understand where we stand and how to move in the right direction.
Well, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and numerous European leaders responded by accusing Moscow of dragging its feet in peace efforts while continuing to wage violence and destruction on its neighbor. Zelensky said on Tuesday that Russia almost automatically became less interested in diplomacy due to the postponement of a decision by the U.S. administration on Tomahawk missiles for Ukraine. European leaders called on Washington on Tuesday to hold firm in demanding an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine, with present battle lines to serve as the basis for any future talks. Now, Zelensky echoed this stance in his evening address.
Russia is once again doing anything to avoid diplomacy. And as soon as the question of long-range weapons for us, for Ukraine moved away, Russia almost automatically became less interested in diplomacy.
менш зацікавленою.
Well, leaders of European nations, including Britain, France, Germany, Ukraine, and the European Union on Tuesday, issued a joint statement setting out support for Ukraine and US President Donald Trump's efforts to end the fighting there. The statement said European leaders would meet later this week at an EU summit and in the format of the coalition of the willing of countries that back Ukraine. Well, Zelensky will attend the coalition of the willing meeting on Friday in London. The coalition, put together by France and Britain in February, has held talks for months at various levels to try to define plans for what countries could contribute militarily for Ukraine and to deter Russia from attacking it once again there is a final truce. And for more, we have Akshay Dongre joining us. Well, Akshay, the summit has been postponed. What does this decision truly indicate, and what diplomatic steps might follow on from now?
Truly indicates is Lipakshi that leaders, especially U.S. President Donald Trump, is coming to terms with the reality of the complexities of this conflict. Barely the rhetoric that was being peddled by Washington D.C., especially the White House, that the war will be brought to a grinding halt. As soon as Donald Trump goes to Putin and Zelensky and speaks to Putin about stopping the war, he will be agreeable to the decisions of the U.S. president. Were sort of delusions that were there in the U.S. leadership's mind. But now, as some time has passed and efforts have been made by President Donald Trump to bring an end to the conflict, the more reality is coming to surface that it's a decade-old conflict. It's also has a lot of geopolitical significance and fallout as well. So a conflict like this is not between a country and a militant group like it is happening between Israel and Hamas. This is between two countries, and one of them is the largest holder of nuclear stockpiles in the world, as well as the largest country in the world according to its size. So you cannot bully all the countries into stopping any sort of action that they have been taking for their own geopolitical relevance or out of their own security requirements. Now there were attempts earlier that President Trump will be persuading Putin to end the war, and then also persuading Zelensky to not take any action without any kind of resolution as far as the complex issues on the grounds are concerned is a fallacy. And it seems that there are going to be far more serious takes now. At least that is the hope of the people to resolve the conflicts rather than just promises and claims that were earlier attempted by the leaders of US.
All right, Akshay, of course, a very complex situation out there. But Akshay, what impact could this development have on the wider efforts towards a ceasefire or a long-term peace process?
Well, the long-term peace process can only come from one way. That is the resolution of the underlying issues. That is the security of Russia, the threats that it has from the NATO expansion, as well as Ukraine's territorial integrity as well. That it can. So both those sides cannot compromise on the issues here. Russia is quite adamant on taking in the Donbas region, that is the Russian-speaking region, where people have also wanted to join the Russian Federation. Whereas Zelensky's administration that has lost a lot of territory to the Russian invasion also cannot let go of the conflict and announce a ceasefire, only to come out as go out, or rather in history, as a leader who lost large swaths of territory to the Russian armies. They have to find a middle ground here. Diplomacy and dialogue can only resolve the complicated situation. Also, as far as the conflict is concerned, it will require a far more serious take rather than just tariffs and threats of not doing business with them, because it's not always US threats that will work to end the conflicts, and many a times conflicts have far more more complications involved that are there present in this Ukraine-Russia conflict that has been going for several years now.
All right, Akshay, of course, diplomacy and dialogue required out there. But regarding the joint statement on peace for Ukraine, how important is Europe's support with President Zelensky? And what signal does it send to both Washington and Moscow?
Well, it seems that European involvement in the conflict has been waning. It has been fading, in fact, in the last few months, especially after Donald Trump took over the second term of his presidency. And the reason why we are saying that is, the attacks were also on Europe and their involvement. So they also have taken a few steps back as far as direct involvement in the conflict is concerned, because they never know when US is going to pull out entirely from the conflict, and then it will just be the European countries that will be fighting, not just Russia but its allies as well, along with the kind of large military presence that Russia also has on its western borders. So it can become quite complicated and devastating for Europe as well, because we have been witnessing sort of incursions, especially the aerial incursions that have been increasing in the last few months. So it all depends that how Europe places itself now on as the situation keeps on changing, but it still remains quite complicated to solve through just threats and dialogues.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Akshay, for all those details. And moving on, as the US government shutdown stretches into its fourth week, tensions between the Democrats and the Republicans are hardening, with both sides blaming each other for the growing crisis affecting federal workers and public programs. Now, the Republicans urged Democrats to reopen the government first, and Democrats demanded action to fix the ACA crisis before ending the stalemate. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump said that he will not meet with Democratic congressional leaders unless the ongoing government shutdown ends.
They're not negotiating. What they're doing is saying they lost the negotiation when we got the great big beautiful deal done. They lost that negotiation. Now they're saying, well, we want to get some of the things we lost. But the problem is the things they lost are very bad for our country. We don't want to have people come over from all over the world, from prisons and all, and have them have their health care paid for. We want to take care of people that are American citizens and all.
Well, US President Donald Trump on Tuesday responded to a report that he's seeking $230 million from the Justice Department for legal costs tied to federal investigations against him. Well, Trump tried to overturn his 2020 election loss to former President Joe Biden based on his false claims about voter fraud. Also, Trump has filed 2 administrative claims seeking damages for alleged violations of his rights. Responding to the report, Trump said he's not involved in the request but would donate any money awarded to charity.
It's a lot of money, and I don't, as you know, I didn't take it in the first 4 years. I'm not taking it in these 4 years either. But as far as all of the litigation and everything that's been involved, yeah, they probably owe me a lot of money. But if I get money from our country, I'll do something nice with it, like give it to charity or give it to the White House while we restore the White House.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. Peru declares 30-day state of emergency in Lima to tackle rising crime. Prime Minister Modi thanked President Trump for Diwali wishes, called for unity against terrorism. Lithuania closes border crossings with Belarus in response to smugglers' balloons, sparking security concerns. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. And moving on, U.S. Vice President Vance voiced great optimism over the U.S. brokered Gaza ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, saying its success will depend on constant monitoring and supervision. Speaking at the Civilian Military Coordination Center, where U.S. troops oversee the truce, Vance praised Israel's cooperation and urged patience as officials work to locate the missing hostages.
What we've seen the past week gives me great optimism the ceasefire is going to hold. And if we get from where we were a week ago to a long-term durable peace between Israel and Gaza, there are going to be hills and valleys. There are going to be moments where it looks like things aren't going particularly well. But given that, and given the history of conflict, I think that everybody should be proud of where we are today.
Well, joined by Trump's envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, Vance emphasized that Washington has set no deadline for Hamas's disarmament, calling it a difficult process.
We know that Hamas has to comply with the deal, and if Hamas doesn't comply with the deal, very bad things are going to happen. But I'm not going to do what the President of the United States has thus far refused to do, which is put an explicit deadline on it, because a lot of this stuff is difficult.
Well, Israel's military confirmed on Wednesday that the remains of 2 more hostages returned the day before have been identified as 85-year-old Aryeh Zalmanovich and Master Sergeant Tamer Adar. According to the army, Zalmanovich was abducted from his home in Kibbutz Nir Oz during the October 7, 2023 attack and later killed in captivity on November 17 that year. Adar, aged 38, was killed while defending the same kibbutz on October 7th, and his body was taken captive. The identification of their remains form part of the ongoing process under the ceasefire-related deal aimed at recovering living and deceased hostages held by Hamas since the start of the conflict. And after 2 years of Hamas captivity in Gaza, freed Israeli hostage Avinatan Or returned on Tuesday to his home in the Jewish settlement of Shiloh in West Bank. He was welcomed by cheering crowds waving Israeli flags. A convoy of cars and motorcycles escorted Or's van as he smiled, waved and thanked Israelis and the army for bringing him back home. The settlers lined the streets, clapping and singing as Or made heart and victory gestures from the window. Later, while addressing the crowd, he said that he was grateful to feel all the love from the people. Police escorted Or through the settlement in a golf cart, and as celebrations continued, Or got off the cart and danced with the crowd. And Peru's President Jose Jerry declared on Tuesday a 30-day state of emergency in the capital Lima and the neighboring province of Callao, saying the move was to battle rising crime. Now, the announcement follows protests last week that left 1 person dead and more than 100 injured. Jerry was sworn in earlier this month following the ouster of former President Dina Boluart. He unveiled a new cabinet last week, vowing to make tackling crime a top priority. Also, Jerry said the measure, starting just after midnight and approved by the Council of Ministers, authorizes the deployment of the armed forces alongside the police to maintain public order. He did not provide further details.
Compatriotas. Fellow citizens, crime has grown excessively in recent years, causing enormous pain to thousands of families and also harming the country's progress. But this is over. Today, we begin to change history in the fight against insecurity in Peru. The state of emergency approved by the Council of Ministers comes into effect at midnight and for 30 days in metropolitan Lima and Callao and presents a new approach. We are moving from defensive to offensive in the fight against crime, a fight that will allow us to recover peace, tranquility, and the trust of millions of Peruvians. Wars are won with actions, not words. Long live Peru. Viva el Peru!
Well, U.S. federal agents carried out a joint immigration and custom enforcement crackdown in New York City's Chinatown neighborhood. A spokesperson for Homeland Security said ICE and its federal partners conducted a targeted, intelligence-driven enforcement operation focused on criminal activity relating to selling counterfeit goods. The New York Police Department said they had no involvement in the operation. Protesters gathered in Manhattan on Tuesday following the U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement operation. Also, a line of police blocked demonstrators who were demanding the release of migrants detained during the ICE raid in Lower Manhattan. In response to protest, senior administration officials from City Hall went to the scene to monitor the ongoing situation. And amid an escalating tariff war with Beijing, U.S. President Donald Trump on Tuesday said he wants to be nice to China, but claimed that the country has been very rough with the United States over the years because America never had smart presidents from a business standpoint. Trump made the remarks while responding to a question on whether Washington would impose tariffs on China for buying crude oil from Russia.
Relationship with President Xi, I expect to be able to make a good deal with him, and he'll make a good. I want him to make a good deal for China, but it's got to be fair. For years, they were making $500, $600, $700 billion, $700 billion, and we'd be making nothing. It was a one-sided. Honestly, we built their military. We built China's military with the money that we lost for so many years, getting ripped off. So now we're going to have a fair deal. I think we're going to have a very successful meeting. Certainly, there are a lot of people that are waiting for it.
Well, Colombian President Gustavo Petro on Tuesday called for international support amid what he described as aggression against his country. The comment comes after U.S. President Donald Trump called Petro an illegal drug leader, which Petro's government described as offensive, marking a new low in fraught relations between Bogota and Washington. Trump also announced plans to raise tariffs on the South American nation and halt all payments to it. During the meeting in Bogota, Petro highlighted the United Nations acknowledgement of errors in its system for measuring potential cocaine production in the country, which had sparked criticism of Colombia's efforts to combat drug trafficking.
The United Nations has already acknowledged its mistake in a public statement. They did not tell Trump that the same organization that made this report, the United Nations, admitted it was wrong and are trying to stain Colombia's reputation only because they want to continue dropping missiles in the Caribbean and want to invade Venezuela.
Well, Lithuania shut down its border crossing points with Belarus. The move comes amid growing security concerns as authorities reported several balloons believed to be carrying illegal goods crossing into the Lithuanian territory from Belarus. Now, air traffic at Vilnius airport was suspended late on Tuesday as a precaution. Authorities cited safety concerns due to the presence of the balloons near flight paths. Vilmantas Vitkauskas, head of the National Security Center, said the decision will be reviewed once the airport is reopened. Also, 8 incoming flights were redirected, including to Lithuania's Kaunas airport and to Warsaw. 2 weeks ago, the Vilnius shut down its airport as it reported similar incident of helium balloons carrying contraband cigarettes from neighboring Belarus. A Slovak court ruled on Tuesday that a man who shot and wounded Slovakia Prime Minister Robert Fico last year was guilty of terrorism charges and handed him a 21-year jail sentence. Now, the 72-year-old Juraj Cintula shot at Fico 5 times from just over a 1-meter distance as the Prime Minister greeted people in the central Slovak town of Handlova in May 2024. The verdict of the Specialized Criminal Court in the city of Banska Bystrica closes a trial that began in July and whose main question was whether Cintula, who admitted shooting Fico, was guilty of terrorism or less serious crimes of murder or attack. The shooting laid bare deep divisions in Slovak society and animosity between the populist Fico and the opposition. Also, Fico, who has held power for 11 years over 3 stints since 2006, has blamed the mostly liberal pro-EU opposition for fostering a climate of anger that led to the shooting. And US President Donald Trump lit lamps at the White House on Tuesday to mark the festival of Diwali, celebrating the occasion with Indian American members of his administration and other community figures. Now, US President praised Prime Minister Narendra Modi, calling him a great person and a great friend. Key figures including FBI Director Kash Patel and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard joined the gathering to celebrate the Festival of Lights. A traditional brass 5-wick lamp stood on a flower-decked table in front of the Resolute desk as Trump read a message highlighting the spiritual meaning of Diwali. Trump said that the lamp symbolized the victory of light over darkness, knowledge over ignorance, and good over evil. While Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanked US President Donald Trump for his Diwali wishes, Prime Minister Modi took to social media and said, and I quote, "Thank you, President Trump, for your phone call and warm Diwali greetings. On this Festival of Lights, may our two great democracies continue to illuminate the world with hope and stand united against terrorism in all its forms," unquote. And in the US, Congressmen Raja Krishnamurthy and Brian Fitzpatrick have introduced a bipartisan resolution in the House of Representatives to recognize the religious and historical significance of Diwali. Now, the resolution honors Diwali's cultural and spiritual importance to over 3 million Indian Americans, including Hindus, Sikhs and Jains. It highlights the festival's universal message of light, triumphing over darkness and unity overcoming challenges. Congressman Krishnamurthy expressed hope that the resolution will bring communities together, while Congressman Fitzpatrick praised the Indian American community's contributions and called local mandirs critical pillars of faith and unity. Also, the resolution recognizes Diwali's significance for the Sikhs and Jains, marking important historical and spiritual events. It reaffirms the strong collaboration and mutual respect between the United States and India. Also, Los Angeles City Council hosted a special celebration in collaboration with Consulate General of India, Los Angeles. The event featured the lighting of traditional lamps, cultural performances of Indian music and dance, and the presentation of a Diwali proclamation by City Council members Nitya Raman, John Lee, and Tim McOsker. They warmly welcomed the new Consul General, Dr. K.J. Srinivas. Former Mayor of Los Angeles and U.S. Ambassador to India, Mr. Eric Gasardi, also attended the event. This marks a historic moment as the Los Angeles City Hall has been illuminated for the first time ever to celebrate Diwali, symbolizing light, hope and unity with both Indian and American communities. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Warner Brothers Discovery is considering an outright sale following interest from several potential buyers, even as it moves forward with its previously announced split into two companies. Shares of the company rose about 8% in pre-market trading. Warner Brothers' strategic review comes after it received an unsolicited bid. Shared electric scooters are banned in Czech Republic's Prague from January 2026 as they create chaos on the sidewalks. City officials say the move follows complaints from residents and safety concerns. While bikes will face new parking rules, e-scooters will be removed completely. With this decision, Prague joins the list of other European cities like Paris and Madrid that have cracked down on the rentals. Rare music collectibles from legendary musicians including John Lennon and Jimi Hendrix are set to be auctioned at Pop Stores London on October 23rd and 24th. Over 550 items are on offer, including Noel Gallagher's damaged Gibson guitar and Lennon's iconic glasses. The sale is expected to raise over £3 million. And still to come on DD India News Now. Govardhan Puja, also known as Annakut Puja, is being celebrated with devotion and joy today. We'll get you a special report from Jammu and Kashmir as India converts most of LOC with POK into smart fence. And India-Australia joint exercise Austra-Hind 2025 strengthens counter-terrorism ties.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and time now we've heard a quick recap of the headlines. Planned summit between Trump and Putin put on hold on Tuesday after Russia rejects ceasefire. Trump says don't want to have a wasted meeting. US Vice President voices great optimism for Gaza truce on Israel visit. Israel's army confirms remains of 2 more hostages handed over by Hamas identified. US government shutdown hits 21-day mark with no end in sight. Trump tells Democrats no meeting over shutdown until government reopens. Republicans acknowledge new stopgap funding bill likely needed. India's weather department issues red alert for several southern states, including Kerala and Tamil Nadu. All schools and colleges closed in Puducherry and Karaikal due to heavy rains prediction. And moving on, Govardhan Puja 2025, also known as Annakut Puja, is being celebrated with devotion and joy today. Govardhan Puja is observed on Pratipada Tithi of Shukla Paksh in the month of Kartik. The festival marks the divine act of Lord Krishna lifting the Govardhan hill to protect the people of Vrindavan from Lord Indra's wrath. On this day, devotees offer prayers, light diyas and prepare a mountain of food known as Annakut Bhog to seek Lord Krishna's blessings for prosperity, health and happiness. In Gujarat's Ranchodrai temple in Dakora, a unique custom of looting takes place. After the Govardhan Puja, an Annakut ceremony is held where offerings are prepared and offered to the deity. Following the ceremony, people from 80 surrounding villages are invited. The custom involves the looting of the Annakut Prasad, a tradition that has been observed for centuries. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended greetings on Gujarat New Year. On social media platform X, Prime Minister Modi said, and I quote, "New Year greetings. May the new year beginning today brings happiness, peace, prosperity and joy into all of our lives. Heartfelt best wishes. May the hard-working people of this fertile land of Gujarat and its rich culture become even more vibrant. That is the prayer from the bottom of my heart. Heartfelt New Year greetings." And India's Union Minister for State for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Jayant Chaudhary, met Philippine Secretary for Department of Labour and Employment, Bienvenido Laguisma, on 21st of October in Manila. The two discussed cooperation and collaboration in the field of skill development and capacity building to enhance employability in the fast-changing job market and use of digital technologies to facilitate employment. Well, in a warm celebration of India and Philippines ties, a special dinner interaction was hosted. The event brought together India and Philippines, recognizing their strong connection with India and their key role in fostering bilateral relations. Also, the evening featured engaging discussions on skill development, entrepreneurship and the growing collaboration between the two nations. And time now for some weather news. The Andaman and Nicobar Islands and the eastern parts of the country may witness light to moderate rains and isolated heavy downpours until 27th of October, with IMD predicting gusty winds in the region. Thunderstorms and lightning across states like Odisha, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh will be through this Friday. Among the western regions, the coast of Konkan and Goa as well as Marathwada are bracing for thunderstorms over the next 5 days. Meanwhile, in the north, the states of Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand remain engulfed with fog, while the lightning alerts continue until tomorrow. And the last 24 hours, weather has changed in Himachal's Manali and nearby Lahaul Spiti. Fresh snowfall near Rohtang Tunnel and beyond has brought a sharp drop in the temperatures. Manali remains under thick cloud cover, adding to the chill. The weather department has issued a snowfall alert for the next 3 days. Tourists are enjoying the fresh snow, turning the region into a scenic winter escape. And in the southern region of India, Tamil Nadu remains to be the mostly affected with heavy downpour. Widespread rains lashed Chennai and other parts of Tamil Nadu on Tuesday, and heavy rains are likely to occur in isolated places. Chennai's iconic Marina Beach is facing rough seas and strong winds, which are expected to continue. Authorities have urged coastal residents and fishermen to be vigilant as the state remains on red alert. All schools in Chennai will remain closed today. Several schools and colleges will remain closed in several other Tamil Nadu districts, including Viluppuram, Ranipet, as well as the union territories of Puducherry and Karaikal. And for more on the weather situation, we have Ritesh Ranjan joining us from Chennai. Well, Ritesh, what's the latest situation on the ground and what are the areas worst affected there?
Well, latest situation is Chennai is, this rain has slightly stopped in Chennai right now, but in nearby areas, what I'm getting to know that it is still raining, and it is expected to rain till Friday. Because the low pressure which is building up, and it will, the cyclonic circulation which will, pass through. It will go to northern Tamil Nadu and also Andhra and Karaikal, Puducherry areas. So you can say the good part for the students. It is like from Friday. The colleges, educational institutions were closed because of Deepavali's, holiday, and government has announced vacation on holiday on Tuesday also, because a lot of people who have gone out away from Chennai nearby district and who are working, studying here. So for them, government has announced a holiday on Tuesday. Government stated that they will start working from Wednesday, and Saturday would be the working day. But now, as rain has intensified, we are seeing that, heavy to heavy rain in, in Chennai and nearby district. There is, a red alert which has been issued for Chengalpettu, Kalakurchi, Tanjavur district, and Chennai is in orange alert. And we are seeing heavy rain from yesterday itself. From Tuesday morning, we are seeing heavy to heavy rain in Chennai. It was, raining badly. And evening, from yesterday evening till early morning, it was heavily raining in Chennai. Now only we can see that it is little bit sunny now, and the weather is little bit better. But the weather forecast is saying that we have to wait, and it is expected to rain more.
All right. Ritesh, you told us that the schools are closed and many other institutions have been shut down. But how are the local authorities and the disaster management teams responding to it?
Well, local authorities are on war foot. They, yesterday itself, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, M.K. Stalin, and Deputy CM Udayanidhi Stalin took a round. They actually roamed around, and there is a war room, control room set up in Chennai Corporation. Udayanidhi Stalin actually roamed around nearby areas where it is, supposed to be affected by rain. Waterlogging problem is usually there. So southern Chennai part and, northern Chennai part, few areas where, it is, whenever it rains, it is waterlogging, and a waterlogging problem is still there. And one more thing I want to highlight here is the nearby district people who went out, went to their native town for, Deepavali holidays. When they were coming, and they were coming by road, so the road which is connecting to Chennai, because of this heavy rain, was congested. water logging problem was there, and traffic jam, huge traffic jam was seen yesterday night until early morning.
All right. So you told us that Ritesh, what precautions are being advised for the residents right now?
The precautions, especially, the government has issued for that not to go out unnecessary if they don't have any important work. Fishermen are told that not to venture into the sea. School, colleges are being closed. And other important works, important offices are working. But then guidelines have been issued, and several areas in city and in and around Tamil Nadu. There have been fishermen, especially you were talking about Marina Beach. It's not only Marina Beach. Beaches in the coastal areas are, those people who are staying in nearby coastal areas, they've been advised to stay at home. Shelter homes are being prepared. If situation goes, situation is not good, they will be shifted to this relief camps or relief center.
All right, Ritesh, we can see a little bit of sunlight on you right now. Thank you so much for all those details. And moving on, India has converted most of the fence along the LOC with Pakistan-occupied Kashmir into a smart fence. Our correspondent Nandita Dagar travelled to the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir and filed this report. Take a look.
This is the Anti-Infiltration Obstacle System, or AIOS, commonly known as the fence between India and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, here in the Nowshera sector of J&K. Along the line of control, we see troops of the Indian Army completely vigilant and carrying out the patrol of the AIOS or the fence. Now this AIOS or Anti-Infiltration Obstacle System here at the Nowshera sector overlooks the Kala Sonaguda Valley of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Around 2 kilometers beyond is the line of control, and this fence or AIOS runs parallelly to the line of control. Now India shares a line of control which is the de facto boundary between Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and our Jammu and Kashmir. This de facto boundary is 740 kilometers long. Now India is upgrading this AIOS or this Anti-Infiltration Obstacle System to a smart fence. How is it doing that? It's adding optical sensors, infrared sensors, acoustic sensors and artificial intelligence sensors to this fence. So any movement, body heat or image of infiltrating terrorist will be caught on cameras. Most of this work is already complete in most of the part of the fence. That is around 740 kilometers of fence. More than 700 kilometers has already been converted to a smart fence with optical, thermal, infrared and acoustic sensors on it. Artificial intelligence will be playing a big role. When this fence turns into a smart fence, snipers will automatically engage the infiltrating Pakistani terrorists. This will be a game changer and bring about peace here in the border villages. When Operation Sindoor started in the first few days between 7th of May and 11th of May, this and several other posts along the LOC came under heavy Pakistani artillery shelling and small arms firing. And the Indian Army adequately responded, and it has become clear in the subsequent days that the Indian Army successfully killed almost 100 terrorists and their masters, that is the Pakistani Army troops, in the response to that artillery shelling and firing. With camera person Dhiman at the LOC in Nowshera, this is Nandita Dagar for DD India.
Well, the Indian Navy is holding the second edition of its biannual Commanders Conference 2025 in New Delhi from October 22nd to 24th. This high-level meet comes in the wake of Operation Sindoor and the Navy's heightened operational tempo, underlining its focus on combat preparedness, interoperability and joint operations with the Indian Army, Air Force and Coast Guard. The conference brings together the Navy's top leadership to assess combat readiness, strategic planning and coordination across services, especially in the Indian Ocean region and Indo-Pacific. Now, discussions will focus on advancing maritime security, leveraging emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, big data and machine learning, and strengthening indigenization under the Make in India initiative. The Navy's role under the Mahasagar, that is mutual and holistic advancement for security across all regions, initiative will also be reviewed as India aims to position its Navy as the preferred security partner in the region. Also, the conference is poised to shape the Navy's future roadmap in an evolving geostrategic landscape. And the fourth edition of the India-Australia Joint Military Exercise it has grown a defense partnership between the two countries. The India-Australia Joint Military Exercise, Austra-Hind 2025, underway in Perth from October 13 to 26, highlights the growing defense partnership between the two nations. Focused on counter-terrorism, the exercise involves extensive training to enhance cooperation and refine tactics for urban operations. It also includes simulated UN peacekeeping scenarios, mirroring real-world missions requiring effective multinational coordination. Now, troops from both the sides are engaging in tactical drills, sharing combat experiences and improving operational readiness. Also, the exercise aims to boost interoperability, ensure both armies can work seamlessly in future peacekeeping or humanitarian missions. Beyond combat training, it also promotes cultural exchange and camaraderie among participants, strengthening military-to-military ties. And moving on, 7,800 special trains are being run by Indian Railways to handle the festival rush and help passengers travel smoothly. Union Minister for Railways Ashwini Vaishnaw conducted an on-ground assessment of the arrangements during this festival season at New Delhi Railway Station on Tuesday. He said that more than 1 crore passengers have already been served by these special trains. Also, to manage the rush, a dedicated war room has been set up at the Rail Bhavan along with monitoring centres in all zones and divisions. They are tracking passenger movement in real time to ensure smooth travel. Well, also, the Indian Railways is adding a human touch during the festival rush by setting up dedicated waiting areas, extra ticket counters including MUTS, clean washrooms and drinking water facilities for the passengers. And renowned Indian sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik paid tribute to the Bollywood legend Govardhan Asrani. A sand sculpture at Puri Beach, Odisha, was created as a humble tribute to the legendary actor whose legacy in Indian cinema will always be remembered. Veteran actor Govardhan Asrani passed away in Mumbai at the age of 84. Best known for his role as the jailer in Sholay, he starred in hits like Chupke Chupke, Bhool Bhulaiya, Dhamal and Bunty Aur Bubbly too. And OpenAI on Tuesday unveiled ChatGPT Atlas, a long-anticipated artificial intelligence-powered web browser built around its popular chatbot in a direct challenge to Google Chrome's dominance. The launch marks OpenAI's latest move to capitalize on 800 million weekly active ChatGPT users as it expands into more aspects of users' online lives by collecting data about consumers' browser behavior. It could accelerate a broader shift towards AI-driven search as users increasingly turn to conversational tools that synthesize information instead of relying on traditional keyword-based results from Google. Now, this is the latest entrant in a crowded field of AI browsers, which includes Perplexity's Comet, Brave browser, and Opera's Neon, as companies race to weave in tools that can summarize pages, fill out forms, and draft code to attract users. Atlas lets users open a ChatGPT sidebar in any window to summarize content, compare products, or analyze data from any site. And the second edition of Abu Dhabi Global Food Week opened on Tuesday at the Abu Dhabi National Exhibition Centre, organised by Abu Dhabi National Exhibition Centre Group in collaboration with Abu Dhabi Agriculture and Food Safety Authority. The event runs until October 23rd. The event has drawn global industry leaders, innovators and policymakers, exploring collaborations that address food security and sustainability challenges. In a world grappling with climate change and supply chain vulnerabilities, Global Food Week 2025 positions Abu Dhabi as a nexus for actionable solutions. Well, you're watching TT India News Hour. Time now for some sports news. The planned La Liga soccer match between Barcelona and Villarreal in Miami has been cancelled. La Liga announced on Tuesday that the game, which was set for December 20th and would have been the first Spanish league game played outside of Spain, was scrapped due to uncertainty generated in Spain. The promoter decided to cancel the event following fierce criticism from within Spain. La Liga expressed regret, calling the match a historic and unparalleled opportunity for the global growth of Spanish football that now cannot go ahead. And Arsenal thrashed Atletico Madrid 4-0 in the UEFA Champions League on Tuesday at the Emirates Stadium. The first half remained goalless, but it was the second half when Arsenal scored all 4 goals in a stunning broadside. Goals from Gabriel Martinelli and a double from Victor Gyökeres secured the massive win. The victory gave Arsenal a perfect 9 points from 3 matches in the group, putting them in a strong position to reach the knockout stages. Atletico Madrid's 6-game unbeaten run was abruptly ended, with Simeone citing individual errors for the heavy defeat. And the Indian badminton pair of Satvik Sairaj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty have entered into the top 5 of the men's world rankings on Tuesday after a year. In the latest rankings released by the Badminton World Federation, the Indian duo has climbed to the 3rd spot. Their rise comes after their semi-final finish at the Denmark Open last week. The pair gained 3 spots in the rankings. Though a BWF World Tour title has eluded them so far this year, they have been one of the most consistent players. They have reached 6 semi-finals and 2 finals this year, including a bronze medal win at the 2025 BWF World Championships. And the West Indies have set unique record in one-day international against Bangladesh in Dhaka on Tuesday. They deployed only spin bowlers for the entire 50 overs in the second one-day match. The visitors used 5 spinners: Akel Hussain, Roston Chase, Gudakesh Moti, Kari Pierre and Alec Athanze, who bowled 10 overs each. West Indies won the match in the super over to level the 3-match series by 1-1. Earlier, the record for the most overs of spin bowled in an ODI match was held by Sri Lanka, who bowled 44 overs of spin against the West Indies in Port of Spain in 1996. And in Dubai, puppy yoga is helping rescue dogs find new homes. The fun classes mix relaxation with playful pups, bringing joy to the participants. Run by wellness brand Yoppy, part of the fee support shelters. So far, 15 dogs have been adopted through these sessions. And built during the height of the Cold War to shelter supply boats from Chinese artillery shells, one of Taiwan's most well-known wartime attractions echoed with a different sound. Cellos and violins for the annual Kinmen Tunnel Music Festival. Take a look. right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, we can get all the latest news and updates from India across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.